On this video, Brisbane self-watering street trees, we have a GoPro, we stick it up the pipe underneath and find out interesting stuff. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro. Now in episodes 89 and 90, we looked at Brisbane City Council's self-watering street trees, and we looked at what I like about them, why this is a cool initiative, why I'm super supportive of BCC for getting out there and trying this. We also looked at a couple of question marks about these and about how they're going to do in the longer term. Well, in this episode, I got a chance to go out and investigate one of those question marks. So before we get into it, if you haven't seen particularly episode 89, which sets a little bit of context about what these are, you also get to see me standing around very early one morning in the pouring rain in winter. That's quite amusing. But if you haven't seen that episode, to set the context, you might want to go back and look at episode 89. But that aside, in this episode, we're going to look at this little question mark and look at what I was able to investigate. So the question mark that I had with self-watering street trees is what's going to happen over time with their inlet pipes, sediment getting into them, are they going to block up? And I recognized really early on in that first video, and then again in the second video, episode 90, that BCC are investigating some ways to prevent this, including a cool stopper thing that goes into the inlet pipe to hopefully let water through but keep sediment out. Well, just recently, Ben and I got the chance to go out with a GoPro attached to a hose and video inside the inlet and up the egg pipe that sits beneath these street trees to see what was happening in terms of sediment blockage. And in this video, we're going to share that with you. We looked at quite a few different street trees. I'm going to show you the footage of a few of those. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about each one because there's several different designs you're going to see here. Give you a little bit of information about what we saw in each one so that you've got a bit of context about what's going on. And that'll hopefully direct us a little bit when we're thinking about what's working and what's maybe not working so well with these street trees. So let's get into it. The first video that I'm about to show you is one of the self-watering street trees. If you watch video 89, this is just across the other side of the road from that street tree. It's an earlier, not the earliest design, but an earlier design that didn't have the inlet stopper plug that you saw in episode 90. So therefore, in my mind, at risk of getting sediment into the inlet pipe. So what you're going to see when I turn the video on in a second is you're going to see me initially try and get the GoPro in there, not be able to because there's sediment in the way. It's relatively coarse sediment. There's a bunch of leaf litter in there as well. You're going to see me scrape that out of the way, and you're going to see me get the GoPro in a bit. The egg pipe's going to clear up for a second. We're going to go in further, and then you're going to see that there's a bit more of a blockage collecting further down. I'm not sure, but I think the clear bit of egg pipe that you'll see is on an angle. So first up, let me show you that. Now for video 2. In this video, we're on the same side of the road. We're just a little bit further up the street. A different self-watering street tree, a different pipe. In this video, you're again going to see me try and get the GoPro into the pipe. So this is again another one of these systems that doesn't have the inlet stopper. You're going to see me try and get the GoPro into the inlet pipe. There's going to be this similar coarse sediment with a bunch of leaves in it. In this instance, I'm not going to be able to get the GoPro in. Now for pipe number 3. Pipe number 3, we're on the opposite side of the street. So this time we're back on the side of the street, very near to the system that I looked at in video 89. I don't think it's the same system though, but very close by, definitely the same side of the street, definitely within 20 meters or so. What I'd like you to pick up with this particular system is again there's sediment in the inlet pipe here. And again, I'm not going to be able to get the GoPro in, but what I noticed here is that this seems to be a finer grade of sediment in this particular this particular inlet pipe. And I just found that interesting. Like same street but different sides. Looks like there's something different happening in the catchment there. There's a lot less leaves on this side as well. Now for the fourth site. This site is one of these newer street trees where BCC had been trying that inlet stopper to keep sediment out of the inlet. So in this particular video, first up I'll show you me pulling out the inlet stopper. You'll see it takes a bit of sediment with it. Then there'll be a quick cut, and then you'll see me feeding the GoPro in. You're going to see the GoPro go into the hole in the curb. It'll follow into a PVC pipe, and then you'll see coming from the distance this rectangular shaped. It'll look like it's lying on its side, but actually it's vertical. It's just the camera's flopped over on its side as we've done this. You got to remember that as you're watching these videos, by the way, is that the camera can fall over and make things look up that are actually on the side and down that are actually on the top, and so on. Anyhow, you'll see this this rectangular type of egg pipe, which is a proprietary product that BCC's been trying in some of these, come in from the back. And then you'll see me whack the GoPro against it quite a few times because I didn't realise it was there. I just thought it was a normal egg pipe until I looked at the footage later. So you'll see that come in. Pipe number 5, again, another one of these newer street trees with a stopper. In this instance, and I found this one really interesting, you're going to see me pull out the stopper. What you should notice there is there's still a fair bit of sediment behind it. Now I don't know whether this stopper had been left out for a while, whether it had accumulated a bit of sediment, whether someone had like accidentally pushed sediment back in while putting it back in. I don't know, but there's a fair bit of sediment accumulated behind this particular stopper. You see the GoPro go in, and you'll see then that there is a really awkward join of the PVC pipe behind it, and we're going nowhere. Time for number 6. Again, another one with an inlet stopper. You'll see me pull that out. You'll notice that there is a bit of sediment sitting behind it again. This time we can get the camera in past the pipe joint. You see it flow in, and there's another one of these rectangular egg pipes sitting behind it. What I'd like you to think about on this particular one, and this interests me when I saw the footage, was that I'm imagining that if in the long term these pipes are accumulating sediment slowly, even with the inlet stopper in there, eventually we might want to clean them out, and you might want to jet them, say with like a high pressure hose. Now I can see that if we have the inlet hole and a circular egg pipe connecting behind it, theoretically jetting water through that should work, because you should be able to get a jet that flushes straight along the bottom of that and picks everything up and cleans it out. So long as it's not totally blocked to begin with. I could see some issues if it was totally blocked, but if it's only a partial blockage, I think a jet could liberate stuff from an egg pipe. But when we've got these big long vertical, and I'll demonstrate that like this, these big long vertical pipes, notice how the inlet pipe doesn't connect flush with the base of the big long rectangular pipe. I could see a situation here where if we ever try and flush out these big rectangular pipes, or if BCC ever tries to flush out these big rectangular pipes, I could see a situation where we simply flush sediment along the inlet pipe and then drop it into this lower kind of storage invert in the rectangular pipe, and it's stuck there forever. So yeah, have a think about that when you're watching this one. Number 7, pretty similar to last time. inlet stopper's going to come out, going to be a bit of sediment there for them. You're going to see some ants in this one. Actually, there are ants in a lot of them. They seem to be enjoying this nice subterranean home that BCC's made for them. You're going to see the ants, then you're going to see this, this rectangular pipe come up. Some pretty decent shots of it in this one. Number 8. This one's a little bit different. On this one, you're going to see the inlet stopper come out, but the pipe behind it's much clearer. Now, I don't actually remember whether it was this site, but I do remember on one of these when I pulled it out, I noticed that the pipe behind was much clearer, and I noticed that the stopper itself was much deeper. It was much thicker. And that got me thinking back to some of the earlier ones that I had opened up, and the fact that some of those had quite thin stoppers, and like it'd been quite easy to wedge them in at an angle accidentally, and it occurred to me that perhaps, and I have no way of proving this at the moment, we could test this. Perhaps the ones that were letting some sediment through were getting jammed in at a bit of an angle. We're actually getting kinked open at the base, and maybe this stopper, and I don't know whether it was on this particular video that you're about to see, or whether it was another site, and I'm just telling you about it now. This particular thicker one seemed to be a better fit and might have been stopping more sediment. And that's it. That's the last video. We actually filmed a few more than that, but showing much the same, like showing variations of what I've shown you there. So we'll leave it at that there for now. So what conclusions can we draw? Well, there's a few things that spring to mind for me. I'm pretty confident from what I've seen there to say that the sediment stopper, or the inlet plugs that you pull out, are definitely keeping sediment out. So I think big thumbs up for that. That doesn't mean they're keeping all sediment out. I think they're keeping a very, very large proportion of it out. They also make it really easy to clean it back out. So in the very first site that we looked at, in order to get the GoPro into that, I actually had to reach into it and pull some out by hand, and I couldn't get it all out. It was hard to really clean off the pipe there. Whereas the inlet stopper, when you do pull them out, it does take the vast majority of the sediment out. So I would say, without an inlet stopper, lots of stuff goes in there. With an inlet stopper, much less goes in there. That's good. Also, the inlet stopper is much easier for cleaning it out than your hand is. Not to mention much safer than using your hand as well, because who knows what could be in there. Next thoughts. I have some reservations at the moment about these rectangular PVC pipes because of what happens if we do ever need to flush these out. I have a funny feeling we're going to just flush sediment into the bottom of them. Something tells me that the setup with just a straight egg pipe might be simpler. Maybe less storage volume for water, but not sure. Might need to think about that a little bit more. But the point is, we got out there, we had a look, we know more than we did, and hopefully this can help this concept develop up a little further and get it to work. Because I think BCC are onto something here. I think they have something that's workable, and it's a matter of refining it and remembering that the concept here isn't to make a street tree that treats absolutely everything, treats the most water possible. What it is to make a really, really simple street tree that you can, or water smart street tree, that you can add onto every normal street tree with very, very little additional cost, but just takes a little bit of water off the road every time and gets a little bit of that, you know, extra urbanized water out of our creeks, and that's a good thing. So I want the concept to work. I can see some promise, and hopefully this video provides some information that hasn't been out there before that helps that design to refine in the future. Well, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you're seeing here at Ideanthro, maybe just keep in mind, we have a mailing list where we send out once a week a super quick email which has the links to these videos in it. Nothing else. If you would like that delivered straight to your inbox, so you can just one click, video pops up, then by all means go to www.ideanthro.com, main page, go down the bottom, there's a sign up form. Okay, sweet. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later.